Lord of the Mysteries family, welcome back to another anime-only deep dive. Every week, this show gives us more to unravel, and every week, we come back here to sort through the pieces together. Being an anime-only fan of Lord of the Mysteries feels like solving a jigsaw puzzle where the pieces keep changing shape. Just when you think you figured it out, it shifts again, pulling you deeper into its world. Episode 6, Teacher, keeps that trend going, but for once it slows down. We still get plenty of new hints and plot threads, but almost the entire story locks in on one man, Mr. Azik Eggers. And this episode had it all: wraiths, haunted castles, sealed artifacts, gods that might have looked directly at Klein, and unsettling glimpses into just how much Azik might be hiding. There's divination gone wrong, done proving how powerful he really is, a possible Dark Souls nod, and even a scene that left me asking, Susanoo? This video will look at how episode 6 reshapes Azik's role in the series, why it might be the most emotional chapter of the anime so far, and the new questions it sparks for anime-only viewers about Azik's true nature, the pathways, and just how deep Lord of the Mysteries is willing to go. Episode 6 slows down the story and delivers its most emotional chapter so far. Almost the entire episode is built around one simple truth: Azik Eggers is unbearably lonely. When Klein and Dunn arrive at the abandoned castle near Lamed Town, the tone shifts immediately. The visuals are haunting, the castle feels like it's been forgotten by time, and the wraith bound there is terrifying in the way that only Lord of the Mysteries can pull off. It's unsettlingly human, a knight in broken armor, like a memory of a person who could move on. Before Azik fully steps into the spotlight, there's a moment that changes the way Klein sees him. Klein notices a painting, an old image that looks far too much like Azik to be a coincidence. This could shake up everything, and Klein knows it. Instead of rushing to tell the Nighthawks or Dunn, he makes a choice. He keeps it to himself. From the moment Azik appears, his presence feels foreboding, like the kind of person who carries more than he's willing to say out loud, and Klein senses it too. Their conversation is polite on the surface, but there's an edge to it, an unspoken awareness that Azik isn't showing his full hand. The truth doesn't come from Klein dragging it out of him. Azik chooses to reveal it, like he's been holding this back for so long that speaking it out loud is both painful and necessary. He admits pieces of his past, or at least the fragments he can remember. After that conversation, Klein does what he's been relying on more and more. He uses divination. In the safety of the gray fog, he checks to see if things will remain stable, if showing Azik the castle won't spiral into danger. It's a precaution, but it also shows how his confidence is shifting. He's willing to take these risks to trust his readings and his instincts. Every step forward means understanding more about this world and maybe one day finding a way back home. Azik's memories come in shards, not a full picture, but what they show is devastating. A man who has lived and lost more than anyone should, to the point where those losses have become part of him. By the time we see those glimpses of the lives he's left behind, it's impossible not to feel the same heaviness Klein feels standing across from him. Azik has been shaped and worn down by the weight of his past. Episode 6 doesn't need to tell us he's lonely. You can see it in every word he hesitates to say and in every moment that hurts to surface. Azik's portrayal reveals the true potential of Lord of the Mysteries. One of the best things about episode 6 is how it keeps expanding the world. We're seeing more artifacts with ominous numbers, hearing more names and terms that hint at powers and forces we don't fully understand, and somehow that only makes Lord of the Mysteries feel richer. But what really makes this episode stand out isn't just the new pieces of lore, it's how they frame the people caught in the middle of all of it, and no one embodies this better than Azik. Azik isn't treated like a walking lore dump. His story doesn't come to us as a neatly tied explanation of who he is and why he matters. Instead, we're given fragments of memory, emotion, and implication that makes him feel painfully real. And because it's not all laid out clearly, it left me with more questions and answers, the kind we'll get into thoroughly in the next section. Klein sees that pain and it stirs something in him. He hasn't lived for centuries like Azik, but he has lived 2 lives, and that perspective matters. Instead of using his past as Cho Mingri to stay distant, Klein leans into the present. He allows himself to connect, to trust, and to care about the people around him, even when it puts him at risk. He even admits, in one of the most vulnerable things he's said so far, that he knows one day he'll be ripped away from his brother and sister in this world, but until then, he's determined to make as many memories as he can for the Klein that they know. That line alone alone shows the kind of protagonist he is, empathetic, deeply human, and grounded in small acts of care even in the middle of so much mystery. That's the real surprise of episode 6. For all its supernatural complexity, Lord of the Mysteries takes time to remind us it can be human too. Azik's pain makes the world feel heavier, but moments like Klein's empathy and even the small slice of life scenes sprinkled through the series are what keep it grounded. Those glimpses of warmth make the mystery feel even more meaningful. They remind us there's something real at stake beneath all the fog. Hey there, looks like you've been caught in Jotaro's stand, Star Platinum's ability, the world. While time's frozen, don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe so you never miss any future content. Alright, time's up, back to the video. Before we dive into all the new theories episode 6 dropped into my lap, I need to start with a few corrections and updates from my last video. In episode 5, I was convinced Leonard might be tied to some hidden pathway that hadn't been revealed yet. Turns out it wasn't a hidden pathway at all, it was just a production error. Leonard is firmly in the sleepless pathway, and that theory is officially retired. While we're on the subject of missed details, I also completely forgot to mention something that hit me last week. That woman opera singer in the previous episode, it actually immediately reminded me of Fuchi, the unsettling model from Junji Ito's work. For my fellow horror manga fans, let me know if you caught that vibe too. I'll be looking for that in the comments. Now with that out of the way, episode 6 opened the door to a whole new wave of questions. One of the things I really appreciate about this episode is that it didn't just slow down the pace to focus on Azik, it also slipped in even more world building, more sealed artifacts, more hints about the different pathways, and a sense that the rules of this world are only going to get stranger from here. But here's the thing, every answer seems to come with 3 more questions. Seeing Azik speak openly about pieces of his past left me wondering what he is in a way that none of the other characters have. Is he a cursed immortal, a member of the Hidden Leaf Village, a stand user? Whatever the case, one thing's for sure, Azik is not a regular Beyonder. And then there's Klein. One of the most striking moments in this episode is when he uses divination to figure out what's been interfering with the sealed artifact they've been using. He pushes himself into the gray fog and goes too far, catching a glimpse of something he shouldn't, what I can only assume is a deity connected to the Church of the Eternal Blazing Sun. That single moment nearly kills him. He's only saved because the gray fog intervenes, pulling him back from whatever he touched. And then instead of punishing him for the overreach, the fog seems to reward him with a sequence 4 recipe. This raises another big question. Is this a recipe for the sun pathway he just brushed up against, or is it another piece of the seer pathway Klein's already on? Having this sequence recipe, if it's for the sun pathway, doesn't seem like a coincidence. Will Klein accidentally summon someone on the sun pathway during a tarot club meeting like he did with Justice and Augur? My theory-driven brain is pointing towards he will meet someone on the sun pathway eventually, if not an ally, and give this sequence recipe to them. The more we see of this fog, it's hard to believe it's just a neutral tool. It's starting to feel sentient, like it's guiding Klein, protecting him, and nudging him towards something bigger. It reminds me of the system interface in Solo Leveling, but more cryptic, less controlled, and possibly with its own motives. We also saw more signs of the Evernight goddess in this episode. Between her, the blazing sun, and the whispers of other churches, the pantheon of Lord of the Mysteries feels larger and far more dangerous. Every divination Klein performs feels like it's one step away from drawing direct attention from one of these entities, and I don't think even the fog could fully protect him if that happened. But Azik is where the biggest questions sit. Episode 6 makes it impossible to ignore the idea we're seeing an unknown sequence of the Corpse Collector pathway in action. He seems like someone who's already climbed to one of its highest points. Based on what he shows us, he's easily sequence 5, maybe even sequence 4. And it got me thinking, could this be a part of what advancement in the Corpse Collector pathway actually looks like? Maybe part of the digestion stage of each sequence in this pathway makes it so that you have to die to move forward. You shed who you were, you slumber, you forget, and you wake up someone slightly different. Almost like Trissy and the assassin pathway seems to demand you lose or alter parts of yourself along the way. This is pure speculation, but my anime-only brain can't shake that idea. Maybe for the Corpse Collector pathway, every step forward means being reborn into another stage of yourself. And with every rebirth, you live long enough to outlast the people you know to collect the corpses of everyone you've loved. Trust me, I know it's a Hail Mary of a theory, but the pieces fit in a way that's unsettling chillingly poetic. Azik's stronger than anyone we've seen, and that strength comes from time. Azik's flashbacks make it clear he's lived through centuries, maybe millennia, and somehow he's still here. That kind of existence comes with a price, and this episode made sure we felt every bit of that cost. All of this leaves me with more theories than ever, but also more uncertainty. The fog feels like more than just a backdrop, it's actively shaping Klein's path. The deities aren't just distant names in the lore, they're forces pressing in closer with every episode. And Azik, for all the mentor-like moments he's had, now feels like something else entirely. I can't stress it enough, this episode really opened a massive can of theory worms. The artifacts are clearly going to play a huge part in the future. I can't shake the feeling that we'll see specialty classes of Beyonders, outliers to the established pathways, almost like unique sequences that break the rules. It's not hard to imagine how wild it could get. Maybe there will even be Beyonders with Death Note style abilities, able to write down a name and suppress someone's powers or weaken them for a short time. We've already seen in Uchiha Clan Susanoo, why not some Death Note? I've got dozens more theories spiraling in my head, but if I went through all of them, this video might be twice as long. And honestly, there was so much lore to absorb here that I'm going to have to push back my full theory on done until next episode. There's just too much happening in episode 6 to process it all at once. Episode 6 of Lord of the Mysteries reshaped how we see this world. From Azik's tragic revelations to Klein's reckless dive into divination, this episode felt like the point where the story stopped teasing what it could be and it just delivered. Azik's story was told through fragments, through things he couldn't even fully remember. It made it all the more devastating. He's easily one of the most complex side characters we've seen so far, someone whose presence raises more questions than answers. Klein, meanwhile, continues to impress me as a protagonist, the way he's willing to risk himself with divination, the way he chooses empathy over caution, and the way he's thinking about the people around him, even knowing he might one day lose them, grounds all the supernatural madness. This episode also packed in more lore than most series manage in entire arcs: sealed artifacts, deities, pathways, the gray fog acting less like a tool and more like an ally. It's a lot to take in, but it's what makes Lord of the Mysteries so fascinating. And honestly, I'm not going to be satisfied with just 12 episodes of this. This story is too big, too layered. I wish this was a full 24 episode season so we could see even more of this world unfold. I also have to say, the theories, the deep dives, the memes, it's been incredible to experience this anime alongside all of you. If there are other web novels with this same kind of depth and mystery, drop them in the comments. I'll take all the recommendations I can get. I walked away from episode 6 with a dozen new theories, a few retired ones, and a head full of questions I can't stop turning over, and that's exactly what I love about this show. It's messy, mysterious, and somehow still emotional enough to stick with you. If this is what Lord of the Mysteries looks like when it slows down, I can't wait to see what happens when it picks up again. Catch you in the next one.